Geez, look at these columns. This is what's known as the feathers locally, because they are a single line of very thick columns that you can kind of walk through. It's like a line of feathers sticking up out of the ground. And this is the Roza colonnade. From our vantage point up on the feathers, you can trace the Roza all the way across down the gorge. This is Frenchman Coulee in this area. A coulee is another word for a dry valley, basically. There's no river in the bottom of this. And like a lot of coulees in eastern Washington, this was formed by the Ice Age flood basalts that came through from the northeast and washed out a lot of the Roza and exposed it and left it there just like this. You can see there's pretty massive columns, and the Roza erupted about 1,500 cubic kilometers of basalt in two flows of approximately equal volume that are up to about 30 meters thick each. 1,500 cubic kilometers is a lot of basalt, and which is about 15.8 million years old, more or less. And back in the 70s, it was thought that all of this erupted in a period of about 2 weeks, or about a week per flow unit. And since that time, they've revised the series of events based on, flow stratigraphy and some characteristics of the flows. And so now it's more likely that it's somewhere in the region of years to decades of flow emplacement. It's more likely to be in the range of years based on, some of the flows, some of the units were a little cooler before subsequent ones came on, but there was still a little bit of mixing that went on between the two, so it wasn't completely cooled. So there was almost no pause between all the eruptive events that happened that formed the Roza. Behind me is east, and one of the ways that you can erupt 1,500 cubic kilometers of basalt in just a few years is that there's actually a vent system that runs all the way from into Oregon, actually, south near Lewiston and Clarkston, and extends all the way up to Ritzville. That's about 180 kilometers of a vent system that erupted all this basalt and that flowed to the west. The Roza has a distinct porphyritic nature and is a good marker bed because it's one of the few that has a very uniform distribution of plagioclase crystals all throughout the entire thing. Above it, the Priest Rapids does have a little bit of plagioclase occasionally, but it's a lot less common. And as we get close to it, you can see the kind of light tan colored crystals here. Those are all plagioclase grains. And so this is a porphyritic basalt because there's large grains and a fine grain ground mass. And it's about 5 to 10 modal % of plagioclase. That about does it for the Roza Member of the Wanapum Basalts. And as we squeeze through these giant columns, I hope you'll join me next time as we get to better know a basalt.